a Chinese classic at the Swan Theatre. In-depth interviews with the new artistic director.
Apologies to the Peking Opera.
Insight into the actors and their roles.
Oh, well, maybe. Well, I am a sociopath in real life. You know, I do like to kill people.
And we'll discover how British actors take on their Chinese roles.
So this is the Orphan of Zhao.
If Tuangu finds you, he'll take you, skin, tendons and all, and chop you up into a nice meaty paste. Yes, he will, won't he? Yes, he will.
Thank you, General.
The Orphan of Zhao was written by Ji Junxiang in the Yuan dynasty and has since been made into various regional operas and plays in China. All Chinese are familiar with the story, regardless of whether they have seen it performed on stage or not. A master of ancient Chinese culture, Wang Guowei, describes the plays as outstanding, even among the world's most famous tragedies.
《赵氏孤儿》作为中国著名的历史剧，在过去已经被多个国家的作者进行翻译和改编，但是在英国还属首次，也是皇家莎士比亚剧团在成立以来所制作的首个中国剧目。这个有着中国版《哈姆雷特》之称的经典戏剧，在2016年末终于登上莎翁故乡斯特拉福的天鹅剧场。本期节目将带您走进莎剧导演眼中的东方世界。
Stratford-upon-Avon in the English Midlands is well known as the birthplace of William Shakespeare. Thousands of tourists are drawn here each year. And the writer's literary influence still lingers in the air of this quaint town. There are signs of Shakespeare all over Stratford, from the statues to tourist posters. All this helps to attract people to the theatre, the home of the Royal Shakespeare Company, the RSC. The Shakespeare Memorial Theatre, which was established in 1875 and then went on to become the RSC, has been staging Shakespeare's plays for decades and in 1925 received a Royal Charter. The theatre is one of the largest and most highly regarded in the world. It is world famous for its authenticity and long history, and not only performs Shakespeare, but also interpretations of many foreign classics. And now, the Orphan of Zhao joins that repertoire.
We've had the season in mind of A World Elsewhere, of looking at what was happening in the rest of the world in Shakespeare's lifetime for some time. And I wanted to explore Chinese drama, but there was very little available in translation in this country. But I came across a reference to The Orphan of Zhao, and that it had been published in the late Ming dynasty in sort of 1616, which was the year Shakespeare died. So that became intriguing to me as to what this play might be like. I then saw a reference to it being referred to as the Chinese Hamlet, whatever that means, and I thought, well, I really must get to read this. And what I had not appreciated was that the Orphan of Zhao is such a huge part of the Chinese cultural inheritance, if you like. I visited China very briefly for a design trip. In the week that we were there, we came across an exhibition of costumes from an opera of The Orphan of Zhao. We saw extracts from a Peking opera version of The Orphan of Zhao. We saw a DVD of the Peking opera version, a Peking opera version. We saw a DVD of a cutting-edge modern drama version of The Orphan of Zhao, and we saw this. I got a DVD of Sacrifice, the film. So film, opera, drama, The Orphan of Zhao was everywhere. And it felt to me as though it was more popular in China than Romeo and Juliet is in the UK.
So how do you know about The Orphan of Zhao?
The who? Well, no, I don't know anything about it, so...
What do you expect tonight?
I'm not sure.
I'm prepared to give anything a go.
However, if we don't like it, we'll be leaving at the interval. That's what we've decided.
Okay.
We won't stick it out to the end if we don't like it.
It's a Chinese story. I don't know how much Chinese can understand. That's a very, very old story.
And I think a lot of the Stratford productions, which are not Shakespeare, are more interesting than the Shakespeare ones.
The Orphan of Zhao is a story drama that Ji Junxiang turned into an opera in the Yuan dynasty in the 13th century, which tells the story of Zhao Dun, who is despised and framed by fellow court official Tu Angu. Zhao's family is first killed. As Zhao Dun's wife was a princess and pregnant at that time, her life was spared. However, the newborn baby was not so fortunate. Through the sacrifice of others, he survived and grew up to avenge his family's death. These events were first recorded in Zuozhuan and the record of the Grand Historian. The Orphan of Zhao was the first Chinese play to be introduced into Europe and has since been adapted by French literal master Voltaire and Irish writer Arthur Murphy. However, the European versions have often greatly differed from the original. The British version, written by English poet James Fenton, has cleverly combined elements of the Yuan dynasty music and poetry into the script and interlude. The play fuses traditional and modern, accompanied by oriental touches.
It was not just a simple act of translation, it was shaping the whole piece to a theatre piece. I suppose there is an individual psychological truth that we wanted to fortify. And I think the main difference in terms of James Fenton's adaptation of The Orphan of Zhao was looking at the sacrifice that the Dr. Chung makes and that the guilt that he must harbour, whether he represses it or not, in terms of the death of his own child, was something that James felt needed to be resolved for a Western audience, maybe. And therefore, the last scene of his version is, I guess, where our Orphan of Zhao is different, certainly to any other Chinese version. The fact that the ghost of Dr. Chung's child comes back to reprimand him. A Chinese friend of mine said, no Chinese author, no Chinese writer would ever have done that. And I liked that freedom to interpret, that we had no responsibility to some kind of sacrosanct text, that we would be telling the essential story of the Orphan of Zhao through our own hearts and minds.
My character is called the Ghost of Chung Ying's son, and his role in the play is, in the storyline, there's a moment where the doctor, who's the main character, either has to sacrifice the orphan or sacrifice his own child, and he ends up sacrificing his own child. And at the very end, there's a moment where the ghost comes into the story and asks his dad why that happened, because there's been many years where the ghost just can't understand why he was killed.
In rehearsals, we would say, how on earth can you actually imagine that this could happen? But as an actor, I suppose you've got to try and put yourself into those situations and just try and believe that you're in that world, even though I'm nowhere near China. You just try and immerse yourself in the world and hopefully create something believable, and in something which is so unbelievable, because the stakes are so high. I mean, people are killed, babies are murdered. It's huge, Shakespearean in a way.
Although it is a heightened language, it's not Shakespeare, and it doesn't sound quite contemporary. It's not slang. It is poetry. But in terms of the story, I feel like it deals with such universal truths.
In addition to this, James Fenton has composed 4 poems that are performed in the play, enhancing its musical origins.
首先是他出于一个结构的需要，他觉得在开场的时候有一首这样的歌，可以一次带出很多这个戏的前奏，很多故事、很多人物关系可以在一首歌里面来烘托出来，把整个戏给拎一下。那么中场休息的时候，他作为一个上半场的一个小节，有另外一首，下半场开始再来一首，而且因为中间毕竟有18年，那么结尾再来一首，是这样一个东西。那么他有了结构上有这个需要，还有一个就是他在写这个的时候，他研究了宋词，他读了很多宋词的东西，他很喜欢宋词的那种简洁的东西在里面。当然，我并不是说他这4首东西他写的是宋词的风格，而是说他在那边得到那个感觉之后，他把这种感觉给留下来了。他在这个戏，所以我个人很喜欢这4首东西，就在语言上达到了一种非常蛮高度的一种概括性，一种精炼，而且确实很美，而且我没有在以前的版本里面看到过这样的。
Who are you?
I'm a travelling doctor and my name is Chung Ying.
Where are you coming from?
I've been brewing herbs and roots and administering medicines in the princess's palace.
What do you have in that chest?
Only herbs.
What kind of herbs?
Bellflower, licorice and peppermint.
And might there be anything hidden in between?
There's nothing hidden in between.
Go. Chung Ying, come back. When I tell you to go, you are off like an arrow from a string. But when I call you back, it's like pulling hair over felt. Chung Ying. Chung Ying. You are hiding something. You are hiding unicorn seed? Chung Ying, you said you only had bellflower, licorice, and peppermint. But I see a little root shaped like a child. I have found ginseng. So this is the Orphan of Zhao. His forehead covered with tiny beads of sweat. And at the corner of his mouth, the froth of his mother's milk. He opens wide his sparkling eyes. He recognizes me. How come you recognize me? Lying here amongst the peppermint, quiet in your little box, swallowing your voice, all tightly wrapped in your swaddling bands, so you can't move a tiny limb. Chung Ying, if I were to take this little bundle and hand it over, I would live in wealth and honor for the rest of my life. Excepting that they would say he destroyed others for his own profit. And who would be left to avenge this everlasting wrong? 300 dead, and only this baby survives, cradled in licorice. And if Tuangu finds you, he'll take you, skin, tendons and all, and chop you up into a nice meaty paste. Yes, he will, won't he? Yes, he will. Chung Ying, take this child and be on your way. If Tuangu asks, I'll answer for it.
Thank you, General.
Tuangu is a character most feared in traditional Chinese opera and folktales, and his role as a traitor has long been familiar to the Chinese people. But now, standing in front of the dressing room of him, his character really doesn't feel so daunting.
I'm very tidy in my dressing room. My mind is not. It's Greg's card to me. The Orphan of Zhao. Here's Greg as the Orphan of Zhao. He's an evil character. When we first meet Tuangu, he's charming, he's funny, and disarming. And I think that's a wonderful start to his journey, because it sort of then takes the audience, I think, by surprise that this character is sociopathic. He kills everybody, including his well-trained dog, because he doesn't perform in the way he wants it to, and he kills a baby. And I had real problems with that in rehearsal. I thought, I'm going to kill a baby on stage. And even though we don't use a real baby, I mean, I tried to get a real baby, but I couldn't kill a real baby on stage every night. So we, every night when the baby is killed on stage, it creates such a reaction from the audience. They're in such shock that somebody could be so evil to kill an innocent baby.
But then how will you identify yourself with the role in understanding?
Oh, well, me, but I am a sociopath in real life. I do like to kill people. And, no, I mean, the thing is, what you have to do sometimes is just to sort of just explore the dark side of your personality.
The dog, the demon mastiff, killed by the character of Tuangu in the play, developed a special bond with the director throughout all these months of training.
What is the biggest challenge in the production?
Oh, the biggest challenge is definitely the demon mastiff. How do you put a dog on stage? An animal which looked like a dog. I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's called the Xie or Xie. It's one of the 9 sons of the dragon in the Ming dynasty. The generals had this mythical animal on their Mandarin squares. And the dog had apparently the quality that it could sniff out good and evil. And if it sniffed out evil, it would attack and destroy. In the Peking opera, I have to say that we were a bit disappointed with Peking, the demon mastiff. It was a sort of man in a not very good dog suit, as far as we were concerned. Apologies to the Peking opera. The cutting-edge drama that we saw was literally a man. They made no concessions to him being a dog, except that he wore a sort of woolly jacket. And that didn't do it for us either.
这就是西方的戏剧审美，就是他们比较希望出现一条真的狗，就是哪怕用木偶的技术来完成，虽然我要看到这只狗，而他非常的不理解中国的用一个人来演一条狗，就是这种抽象思维和中国戏曲的写意、程式化，那么对他就觉得那些东西是完全不能理解的，而且他甚至感到很奇怪，就为什么你用一个人来？但中国的观众其实都没有什么问题，因为戏曲里出现太频繁了，对啊。然后这边他就做了一个木偶的，做了一条狗，3个人操作。
Basically what it does is say that the reason theatre is different from film is that it's happening live in front of you and it requires an act of imagination from you, that you have to participate and be complicit in that action. And I guess that's what makes theatre so different. And in a house like this, which the Swan Theatre replicates in some way the actor-audience relationship in Shakespeare's theatre, in that the audience is, the audience paper the walls, the audience are very present. And that's what makes it so present and so vivid and so live in a way.
How will you score it?
I'll give it a 9.
We really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. The thing I liked about it most was the regional accents. I didn't think that we had regional accents like that. It was brilliant.
Yeah. We have walked out of other plays in the past, and we wouldn't have walked out on this one.
We really enjoyed it. I mean, it's the second time we've seen it, and we saw it last November and really enjoyed it so much we came back.
The production has received a lot of critical attention and praise, and even 4 or 5 stars reviews, for being the first Chinese play to be adapted by the UK's prestigious top theatre company. However, it has also faced criticism from the British East Asian artists for the fact that only 3 Asian actors were cast in roles.
英国这样的国家是一个多文化国家，而且它跟中国在这点上是极大的不同，就是说。他们有移民，而且现在的就是华裔的移民在这边已经不是第一代了。像这个戏里，你前面说到，他有过3个亚裔，亚裔只有一个是中国裔，另外一个马来西亚，还有一个日本。所以这3个，那么这3个在戏里其实不担任重要角色。然后就这3个来说的话，他们是完全的新一代的亚裔，就是他们不会中文。他们对中国其实几乎不太知道，就对中国文化。那么这样一批演员在这个国家，他其实你跟他说，你说你是中国人，他说他是英国人。那么既然是你英国人，他纳税给英国，但是你不给他提供这种机会，就像以前的黑人一样嘛，对不对？那么用白人演员去演，把演员涂黑了去演黑人，就是说这当然是其实有问题的，我觉得。
In a statement, the RSC addressed some of the issues.
We understand that the casting of our World Elsewhere season of 3 plays has led to much concern, and are sorry that this is the case. We do recognise that the lack of visibility for Chinese and East Asian actors in theatre and on screen is a live and very serious issue. We are beginning the process of talking to industry colleagues representing employers and actors to set up a forum for wider debate, which we hope will make a meaningful difference.
I think at the end of the day it's a story, and a story doesn't necessarily need, Chinese actors to be in the play. It's if you tell the story well and if the story is clear, then an audience forgets who's in it. They just see the characters and they see the storyline, and that's what should pull the person in.
Wang Huan recently graduated from the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. Before coming to England, Wang Huan gained his undergraduate degree in stage design from Shanghai Theatre Academy. He was involved in many Chinese opera, which won national prizes, and was also the chief stage designer in the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics. Wang Huan was invited to be the assistant to the director for the RSC's production of The Orphan of Zhao.
他们找到我的时候，我当时愿意去参加这个作品，其实有很重要的一个原因，就是我很想看一下西方人怎么看中国的故事，而且他们在做的过程，他们怎么理解整个的一套系统。
As the only Chinese participant involved in the production, Wang Huan provided important information about Chinese culture to other cast members. He gave actors not familiar with China a deeper understanding of the culture, of the play, and their roles.
有一些东西是这边没有，我们中国有，那么你跟他讲很多东西都不理解。其实哪怕到最后，其实还是有很多地方都不理解。讲一个最简单的例子，就像在《赵氏孤儿》里面，到后来孤儿复了仇之后，他们都觉得孤儿应该做皇帝，而且在戏里面也是这样的，就是他最后就大家拥戴他做王。但是中国是不可能的，因为你是公主的儿子，你如果做了皇帝，那么这跟图案谷政变是没有任何区别。所以这件事情在中国文化上是不可能发生的。那么他们实际上到现在也不能理解，因为他们有女王，他们觉得公主作为国君是成立的。
What has been fantastic for all of us is the journey towards understanding another world, another culture that is different to our own.
Throughout our history in this country, there have been people who have made extraordinary sacrifices and honourable and noble people throughout literature and history. But there's a real sense in the Orphan of Zhao that this is part of a culture, of an ancient culture, but also part of a contemporary culture where doing something for the good of a community or for the family is more important than your own personal drive and ambition. Which, although there are individuals that have those feelings, but as a culture, that feeling that this is the way we roll is quite extraordinary. I think that's what's quite surprising for a contemporary British audience. They see this beautiful play, but they also see this culture where people are quite prepared, without a lot of fuss, to sacrifice their lives because that is the honourable thing to do, and that's the right thing to do at that moment.
I have been surprised at the reaction from the audiences who I guess are coming with very little expectation of what the play is going to be about, and I think they find it deeply moving, and I think that's been a great revelation to us, that the play has such impact that transcends national or international barriers.
It was very captivating, an interesting story, well told,
an accessible story.
Really moving.
It has a central theme of love.
是一个有意义的戏，是一个非常有意义的戏。不管对于皇家莎士比亚剧院，还是对于中国人、中国的戏剧人来说，都是有意义的。就是因为它给了我们另外一个视角去看到我们原来的东西。
I think we'll understand each other as different nations, not through our politicians, but through our artists. And through our actors and through our storytellers and through sharing our culture. And that's really the way forward.